Hi, my name is Robert. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. Started off the day by driving the Dirt Dodger. That's this little flip car I got. And after driving a few miles, I don't have a check engine light yet, but I have 3 codes: 130, 135, 141, and 136. So I need to figure out what those are and get that stuff taken care of and cleared out. Down at the shop, I'm going to start off today by verifying that this engine stand is secure, check all the bolts, tighten them up, and see if we can bolt a block to it. Here's a couple of pistons. As you can see, they go across nice and even, except for the one that's got a bent rod. That's a bent and broken rod that locked that engine up. Here's another tidbit on your timing alignment. You got your 2 little cuts in there on your oil pump. Now when you have this off of the car to replace that front crank seal, you can see those 2 notches cut into the sprocket. But you also have a tip here that aligns with that oil pump nipple there. So you really can only put this on one way because of that flat spot in there. At any rate, you take this off to change your front crank seal, you put this back on, you align that with your oil pump, and this is also a timing mark. And this is just one piece. So then you put your harmonic balancer on the back here. Kind of hard to get this screwed up, guys, but some people say they do it. We're going to rebuild a turbo. It has worn seals in it, a little bit of shaft play side to side, not in and out. First thing you want to do is stop the nut on the turbine from turning, and then put a tool on there and break loose the compressor nut. So you can hold that with a tool, or you can put it in a vise if you have one, and then unscrew this bolt up here. And is this reverse threaded?
I'm gonna find out. I don't know.
I think it is reverse threaded. And there you have it, reverse threaded. When you put that bolt back on, you want to put it on with a little bit of thread lock. Now you pull up the compressor wheel, make sure it doesn't have any cracks on it or anything like that. Now this compressor wheel was balanced when it was installed, so it shouldn't have any balancing issues when you go to reinstall it. If you see there, it has a little notch out of the top of it. That is for the balancing. Now, whenever you take your compressor wheel off, you can tell if it's a super back or a flat back. And as you can see, this one is raised, so it's a super back, 13G. Upon inspecting this turbine wheel, we found some nicks and some slight bends in it, so we're going to replace that one with the one off of a 15G. They are the same exact size, so that won't matter. So here's a rebuild kit for the super back. It has this ground out portion on that bearing, and the flat back does not have that ground out portion on it. Get your clip ring puller, pull out your clip ring, set it aside. You want to keep this stuff in order so you can remember how it goes back together. So set it out on some kind of way where you can have it in some kind of order. So here I got my nut here, my compressor wheel here, my clip ring here.
Notice that that's angled, so you can only put it in a specific way. Okay,
cool. The clip ring has a flat side and a beveled side. The beveled side goes up away from the CHRA. The flat side goes against it, so you really won't be able to put this in the wrong way. Next, you want to get your nut back on your shaft, and you want to tap that back down through the CHRA. And the CHRA is the housing, and you got to tap the shaft out so you can pull the turbine out of it. There you go. One tap with a mallet, it came out the bottom. Take your screw back off, which is reverse threaded, and then you pull out your turbine assembly. Alright, this is the bearing, the brass piece here, and you can see the carbon buildup on the back side of it. It wasn't so bad that it was blowing oil out the back, but you know, sometimes they don't got long to go, and as you've seen with me dealing with my car, just taking it out, cleaning it up, putting it back in was the straw that broke the camel's back. Inside the CHRA, that's where that bearing rides, and it has ports in there for the oil to get through and keep it lubricated. Next, you want to press out that front bearing, get you a small flat tip screwdriver and work it out from around the front of the CHRA. Take your time. You don't want to bend or break nothing. But you do have new pieces to replace those with. And it's got this guide on the back of it.
It's actually an oil deflector.
It's a oil deflector. Keeps the oil going in its proper paths. Put that over and pop that out. Oop.
I got it.
Alright, so does this go one way or either way?
This goes on one way. See, it lines up with that pin there.
Okay.
So it goes like that.
Alright, and then I see it's got this, that goes on the back side. And then it's got a little pivot hole that goes in there. So that stuff goes down in there that way. Pop it again, you get your inner bearing out. He just flipped it over and popped it, and out it came. Have your large O-ring in there in the CHRA. He's going to dig that out with that fine tip screwdriver. And you got an O-ring on the outer edge of it that you got to remove as well. That's the outer one.
Might need a pick to do that.
And then we're going to get a pick so we can get the inner one. You can probably get it out with something other than a pick, but a pick sure works easier. Alright.
Throw this in the parts washer, clean it up.
So now we're going to put this in a parts bin and clean it up, but if you have something that you can soak it in, brake parts cleaner or some other kind of degreaser to get that stuff out of the crevices of there, that's what you want to do. Those are the little bends on the turbine wheel that I mentioned, so I'm going to go get the other one. I forgot the turbo that I needed to get, so I'm going to take Tony's R. He's proud of it. Couldn't tell that by the paint. Nonetheless, let's see how it rides. Got him a little custom brake pedal. He's got a tune in it that he thinks was in it when he got it. And it has an automatic still. It has not been converted to manual, I should say. Got a nice double din stereo. He just put a rip kit on it, and he wants me to see how it drives. So let's see if it starts up. Fires right up. Got a couple of gauges here. Air fuel ratio. That looks like oil pressure. And he's got his boost gauge down there. So let me get my seat adjusted and go get this part I forgot at my place. Seems more responsive. I wonder if this has an RN motor in it. I think it did have a motor swap. When I touch the gas, it just takes off. Stereo's pretty nice. Maybe that cut it off for me. And I'm making sure I don't get hit by nobody pulling out on my knoll. It is pretty responsive. Turbo has a little bit of a whine in it. Suspension's a little tight. Not as noisy as mine. Sounds like he's got one of his door panels loose or something, but it's riding pretty good. Seats are a little harder than I thought they would be for a R, but let me revisit if I have any other comments. Yeah, this vehicle definitely has some kind of tune. it builds up pressure pretty quick. He installed a rip kit. I think he told me that there's a hole in the firewall, so that lets more noise transmit into the cabin. So when I take it left turn up here towards home, I'm going to give it a little bit of gas, and I'm going to put the camera here on the boost gauge. It's kind of dark, which is not real fun during the daylight, so you can see what the boost is doing on it. Well, I got a vehicle in the way, so let me let that vehicle get out of the way. It almost sounds like this vehicle has some kind of blow-off valve or something on it. At any rate, I'm going to roll, and then I'm going to not go to watt, maybe go about 70-80%. So it picks up speed pretty good. I'm going to do a 20 to 40 here after I go over this little bump here. Alright, I got it out of the parts washer. I dried it with compressed air. And it's important to get down in those crevices to make sure you get all of the carbon buildup, soot, whatever you want to call it. So I scraped a lot of that with the little pick we have, and I'm going to get a brush in there and clean that out. You want those surfaces that these seals seat to be very clean. I got that groove all cleaned out. Now I'm going to brush this with my stainless steel wire brush around this outer edge, and then I'm going to be ready to go together with it once I clean my turbine wheel. Next, you have to remove that little seal there, and you have to spread that clip to get that off of there. So that's what we're going to do, so we can clean up this shaft and load it up with the new parts. Trying to get that to slide over the part. There it is. And now we're going to clean this up with some brake parts cleaner and a wire brush. This is the turbine wheel, of course, and I got all of the carbon and soot cleaned off of that. I might be able to do a little bit better on the shaft. That's not as important as it is where these seals rest. Now we're getting ready to put everything back together. The first thing we're going to do is put that clip back up here where it goes. Alright, now we're going to put these 4 pieces together. Going to put this clip ring on here so it rides in that groove, and then we're going to snap these 3 pieces together, and this will be 1 piece, and then those 2 pieces. Now let me oil that stuff up and get it together. I got that ring pressed through there, and it looks centered because of the clip ring that holds it, and this should fall down in the groove and turn for you. Next, we're going to slide a bearing over the shaft, and it'll sit all the way down here like that.
This one goes inside.
Bearing sits in there on the compressor side of the CHRA.
And
then we
the thrust washer.
pull that up, put the thrust washer on it, and set it in place so that it fits down in there, and that pin falls on it. Put some motor oil on it so it's oiled up. Next, you get your rubber seal, oil it up, and slide it in that groove that we cleaned out real good. Have it popped in place, have it oiled up, set in place real good. This seal here comes on the outside of it, and we're going to oil that up and push your turbine through. Press it with your hands, make sure it fits in there nice and tight, but it does turn freely. When you slide that on there, the clip ring that you put on before kind of falls in place, and your turbine wheel spins nice and smoothly. And next, we're going to put some silicone up here because we don't want to mess up this O-ring that's down inside there. Rubbing some silicone down inside the O-ring down there. You can oil it, but we use silicone. Now we got to drop that plate down in that groove down in there. Work it down until it fits down in there.
It's not all the way in there.
Well, we got that disc in, and we couldn't get it in past the seal, so we put a compressor wheel on there, started tightening it down. Remember, it's reverse thread, till we got it to sit down in there. Now we have to get it down far enough to put the clip ring in. So let me grab the new clip ring and make sure we get the flat part of it against the disc there and snap it in place. Alright, Tony's got the clip ring with the clip ring pliers. He's going to see if it's pressed down far enough to get it snapped in place. Part of it is, the other part's not, so we're going to work that in with a small screwdriver to get that clip ring all the way in the whole way around. And make sure you get that clip ring pushed in. That'll hold that HRA together properly. Now that the clip ring is in and seated, you want to set the compressor wheel on there. Make sure it fits down in that recessed area. And now you want to put the bolt on. A lot of people just snug them down, but you can torque them, which is the proper thing to do, to 40 inch-pounds. And you want to put some thread lock on it. Put a little thread lock on there. The red's better, but that's what I have is the blue. And torquing it down with the torque gauge up here. Let me position this where I get a better view of it. And I'm going in. And that's 40. That's it. It's rebuilt, ready to clip back into the housing. Alright, reading the codes on this car with a real Volvo code reader. We got that code, that code, that code, and that code. O2 sensor codes. Next on deck is the big brake kit upgrade on mine. Like I said, it's replacing the brackets. You could use the same calipers, and you replace the rotors, and I also need to replace the brake lines on the front of mine. The brake lines, when they get old, they swell when you put on your brakes, and they're not as effective. So just replacing the brake lines, I'll feel improved braking. And then of course with the big brake kit, that's going to help as well. Put a halt to my big brake upgrade. The brake lines are rusted on, cannot turn off, so I'm going to have to get some brake lines. Hopefully the salvage yard will have some non-rusted ones for me. I actually tried to pull this one off, and the nut sheared right off of the bolt assembly. Hopefully that won't come out. It shouldn't, but if it does, I'll lose brake on that wheel and part of the system. Here on my parking brake, I have no shoe pad on my brake system back here. All that stuff is rusted. I don't know if that stuff will work out. It looks like it's still working. Anyway, I got to get pads for that. Next to my fuel filter, the rollover valve had a totally broken hose there, and the top hose had a split in it. Now, that rollover valve is supposed to shut off your fuel flow in the event that you roll the vehicle over. And the hoses were broken, so now they're fixed. I may get a little bit better gas mileage now that that is connected. Here's my tailpipe broken bracket there. It's supposed to be connected here. It's broken. And other than that, I don't think I have anything else going on under here. Let me hook up my brake lines and get this car back down on the ground. Had my car in the shop, had the HIDs on, the fog lights on, had that stuff on for half hour or so, left the key in the ignition, ran down the battery. So we're going to show you a jump box tool that you guys may want to get. This is where I'm at volts wise. I turn on the car, trying to get the OBD2 on. Come on. I got 10.1, then 8.6. I try to crank it. It's dropping down to 7.1. So we're going to show you this jump box that we have.
It's a good battery still. It's not a bad battery. So
Here we go. We got this jump box. Look at that thing. The size of a cell phone. You hook it up on your positive and negative. Now we're going to go in and see if it cranks the car. Here it is. Fires right up. You can't get no better than that. So if you guys are interested in those jump boxes, let me know. We can probably have the mechanic order us some. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.